Supreme Court backed a new Trump asylum restriction.
Yes.
Trump had made a new executive order, because this is what he likes to do. He likes to bypass Congress.
Right.
And he says, you know what? If you walked into another country before applying for asylum in the United States of America, you can't. You should have applied for asylum in that country. So, for example, if you're trying to escape El Salvador and you have to walk into Nicaragua or Guatemala and then make it to Mexico and then make it to the United States to apply for asylum, you can't anymore. You should have applied in Nicaragua or Guatemala or whatever country you first stepped into.
Which is crazy.
If you're a Syrian and you make it out of Syria somehow into another country, you're not going to fly straight from Syria to the United States of America, that's for sure. There is no flights.
Right.
Okay? Then you got to apply for asylum in that country. You are automatically barred from applying for asylum in the United States of America, which goes against everything that the United States of America stands for, and also goes against what is 150 years of asylum law. So there was a lawsuit to block President Trump from doing this.
Right.
The lower courts agreed to block him from doing this.
Right.
It went all the way up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, no, it's okay. He can do this. Now, ultimately, the case hasn't been fully resolved. This is just the preliminary injunction. But if this is how the Supreme Court is ruling on the preliminary injunction, my guess is this is how they will also rule on the main case as well.
Yep.
It's actually the second Trump victory in the Supreme Court for this summer.
Yeah.
If you remember, there was a big fight over the Supreme Court nomination of Kavanaugh because he was basically put the balance of power towards the Republicans.
Right.
And in July, the court allowed the administration, the Trump administration, to begin using $2.5 billion in money that was funded for the Army to divert that money to build a barrier along the Mexican border. It is no longer the Mexican government paying for this border wall. It is the U.S. military. Now, Justice Sonia Sotomayor, joined by Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, dissented.
Good for them, unsurprising.
Saying that the court's actions will upend long-standing practices regarding refugees who seek shelter from persecution, which is basically what I just said.
Right.
Now, Kenneth Cuccinelli, the acting director of the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, again, acting because none of these people have ever been confirmed.
Right.
If you hear our schmooze every day, it's always the acting commissioner, the acting cabinet member, the acting this, the acting that.
Right.
Because they are never confirmed.
Right.
Ever.
The revolving door is too fast.
It says that they're going to commence implementing this asylum rule ASAP, and the reason is because he is a very, very evil man.
Of course.
Trump said, despite the fact that there are thousands of people still missing in the Bahamas, devastation.
Right.
Tens and tens of thousands of people with absolutely nowhere to live.
Right.
He will give absolutely no temporary protected status to any Bahamian who tries to enter the United States. In past devastations, past natural disasters, whether it was the Haiti, Nicaragua, volcanoes on Montserrat, I mean, you can go on and on and on. Always, a president always gave temporary protected status to the people living here because they have nowhere to go back to.
Right, there's nothing there.
There's nothing there.
Right.
It's not even, and the temporary protected status, by the way, was always given. It's not for people who are now coming to the United States of America. Temporary protected status was always given the day of this disaster. Anybody from that particular country, we're not going to send back there because there's nothing to go back to. The country's devastated.
Right.
We're going to bring everyone from that country into America and allow them to live here.
Right.
But he's not even allowing Bahamians who are here on temporary visas, visiting, whatever it may be, when Dorian hit, to say, you know what, you can stay here. No, go back to your home. Right. Oh, by the way, there is no home, but too bad. That's basically what it is.
You look at all that footage and you see it is leveled. This guy has no roof on his house.
And from just word of mouth, what I'm hearing from my clients who are from the Bahamas, is that when you are coming in, generally on visitors' visas, the United States gives 6 months. But I've heard through word of mouth from people who I've met who have gone through, the airport in the last week or so. Yeah. They're getting 2-3 weeks to stay here and then go home.
So not only are they not giving them protected status, they're making the visitors' visas shorter to ensure people do not stay.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct. For those people, by the way, for the asylum. The only country now,
Yeah.
okay, the only way you can now apply for asylum in the United States of America from another country, other than refugee status, which Trump says is going to now be zero,
Right.
is you either have to be a Canadian and apply for asylum,
Right.
Mexican,
Right.
because Mexico you don't have to go through another country,
Right.
or you have to be able to get on an airplane with a visa, because
Right.
what airplane's going to let you on without a visa,
Without- right.
to apply for asylum at the airport. So those people without visas,
Right.
those people who do not live in Mexico or Canada, can't apply for asylum. It's basically barring almost everybody from applying for asylum.
Now,
I didn't even think about that until
Yeah.
I got to the Bahamas, but I'm like, yeah.
Now, I'm wondering, we may be getting very logistical, but what about people from island nations or ocean bordering? Like, does the western part of Europe count? Because they would be able...
I mean, if you go on a boat, let's say
Right.
from Jamaica to Florida, yes, you can apply for asylum because you didn't
didn't go through anything else, right.
You're in international water. But I mean, how many people are going to get on a boat from Jamaica
Yeah, I mean,
and make it with past the Coast Guard?
Right, that's
The
a hell
Coast
of a
Guard-
loophole.
The Coast Guard's going to turn you around.
Of course.
Okay. You really need to have a visa and go
Wow.
from your country to the airport and apply
And
for asylum.
then-
And how many people have that? Who are in desperate need.
Right. Who are claiming
violence.
claiming asylum, right?
Yes.
Wow.
Meanwhile, for those who do make it,
Yes.
you get into ICE custody, and according to the U.S. government, according to BuzzFeed News, my
Yeah.
apologies.
Yep.
BuzzFeed News is reporting that an eighth man has now died in custody
Yep.
in ICE. He was a 37-year-old Mexican man. He was in custody in ICE detention in Illinois since September 3rd. He died Tuesday. The death is the 8th in this year alone. Now, ICE has been funded to detain an average of just over 42,000 people, but is expecting to reach a daily population of over 50,000 people. And I just have to say, generally speaking, 37-year-old men, I don't know about this man's health, but 37-year-old men generally just don't die.
Right.
Okay? That's too young to just die like that.
Right.
It's not like he was like brought in at old age and like, oh yeah, he was frail.
Right.
So he's right in the thick of his life. You don't generally die. Something happens.
Of course something. This is
We don't know what.
heartbreak. And of course there's no transparency
Yes.
within.
We don't know
It
what.
was an anonymous source who even reported the man died.
Yeah. Now I had a client I remember about 2 years ago who had cancer, and he was in his 30s, and and ICE was not giving him cancer treatments. And finally, when he was so deathly ill, you know what they do?
What?
They literally opened the door to the ICE detention facility. True story. Opened the door to the ICE detention facility, told him to walk out, so he would die on the street instead of in the ICE detention facility. His family picked him up, brought him to a hospital, got in touch with me. Unfortunately, he did pass away, but he had a hell of a lawsuit, as a state at least. But that's what they do. They literally, they almost kill you.
Right.
And then they let you out, just like this Mexican man, because they're going to say he didn't die in ICE custody, he died in the hospital. Okay? They almost kill you, but then they let you out so you die on the street or die in a hospital, so they could say, oh, didn't die in ICE detention.
But wait,
That's what they do all the time. Because I was just reading the card.
Yeah.
Yes, he died in the hospital. So they on their statistics,
not our
wasn't us. Wasn't us.
You think of what the count must actually be of people, because the only reason you knew about that case is because that guy not only had family who could come pick him up, but on top of that, were smart enough to call you.
That's right, because the family watched my show.
Right. How many hundreds of people have either no family in this country because they're asylees, or don't know to call a lawyer to actually help them?
Which is why we tell everybody to please share this.
Please, absolutely.
All right. Meanwhile, Rudy Giuliani has gone to the Ukraine to try to influence the presidential election coming up. Apparently, Rudy Giuliani believes that Ukraine has some dirt on Joe Biden's son.
Right.
Now, Joe Biden's son apparently, what did he do? He had some sort of payoff.
Right. He had accepted bribes.
Bribes
Is what he
to do business in the Ukraine while Joe Biden was vice president.
That's the conspiracy theory.
That's the conspiracy theory. Now,
Right.
nobody has ever come up with any evidence of this, but Donald Trump sent Rudy Giuliani to the Ukraine.
Right.
And what he said was this: if you want our government assistance, if you don't want us to withhold $250 million in government assistance to help Ukraine in money that was allocated by Congress to Ukraine for Ukraine's benefit.
Right.
Just like the United States gives money to lots of countries.
Right.
Donald Trump says, I'm not going to give you this money unless you give me the dirt on Joe Biden. Giuliani said last month that the State Department had helped with his bid to pressure the Ukraine government to investigate the former vice president. The Trump administration has reportedly threatened to withhold more than $250 million. Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity are right now being assaulted by Russia.
Right.
And Trump is playing politics with this $250 million.
Exactly.
Now Congress is investigating this, and it began with a letter demanding documents from the White House, and it's being led by a Committee of Foreign Affairs Oversight and Reform and Select Committee. The panel's chairman wrote, if the president is trying to pressure Ukraine into choosing between defending itself from Russian aggression without U.S. assistance or leveraging its judicial system to serve the ends of the Trump campaign, this would represent a staggering abuse of power, a boon to Moscow, and a betrayal of the public trust. Now, Giuliani defends himself and Donald Trump. He says in a tweet, explain to me why Biden shouldn't be investigated if his son got millions of dollars from a Russian-loving, crooked Ukrainian oligarch while he was vice president and point man for Ukraine. Ukrainians are now investigating and your fellow Democrats are interfering. Election is 17 months away. Let's answer it now. Now, Biden's campaign spokesman also had something to say. He said Trump is abusing the office of the presidency and jeopardizing national security aid to a key ally in order to pressure them to prop up a comprehensively discredited conspiracy theory that the Washington Post editorial board has labeled bogus on its face.
Wow.
Now, if in fact, this is true, then yes, we should know about it.
Right.
But certainly we shouldn't be pressuring Ukraine to come up with facts to support this theory.
Right.
Because you're bribing them. You say, I'm not giving you $250 million unless you give us some facts.
Yep.
That's basically it. Give us some facts against Biden. Give us some dirt.
Yeah. Alternative facts.
And they'll manufacture it.
Yeah, of course.
They're very capable of manufacturing
it. Well, because wouldn't you manufacture some facts for $250 million? I got some major facts I can manufacture for $250.
You know what? If I'm the president of Ukraine, I'd manufacture it for $100 million.
Oh man, Hunter Biden was here for 18 months. Everyone saw him.
Right. What do you want to know? Right.
Yeah.
We'll take out the Sharpie.
I can show you on Google Maps.
I can take out the Sharpie. We'll give you some letters he wrote.
Right.
Hunter Biden, look, I just wrote this letter, right?
Dear Dad, I just took tons of bribe money. Thanks.
Can you imagine if it was in a Sharpie?
That's exactly what it's going to be. And I hope to God the Ukrainian president
that's the problem
like
going on here with Donald Trump. I mean, he is crooked.
Sharpie gate.
Yeah. We had Dr.
Mona Hanna-Attisha.
Yes. And this is so disgusting that this happens in the United States of America about the water in Flint, Michigan, and it really disgusts us here. Disgusts us.
It does.
Here at Bradshaw Live. And now researchers, and now for those who don't remember, the doctor, she discovered that the Flint water was being basically poisoned.
Right.
And the Flint government, Michigan government, was saying, no, there's nothing wrong with the water.
Right.
Had children, adults drinking the water from the tap. Kids were getting sick, lead poisoning and everything else. Now it turns out, according to researchers at Emory University, that not only was the lead high, that kids were getting sick from lead, but there was also a 5-fold increase in deaths officially blamed on Legionnaires' disease.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a documentary on PBS Frontline that aired Tuesday night. It revealed the research of an independent Atlanta-based epidemiologist that suggested for the first time that Flint's Legionnaires' outbreak was even deadlier than health officials even said. The documentary revealed that although the official death toll from Legionnaires' disease was only 12, 20 of 79 people were actually sickened by Legionnaires' disease, actually died. So there was 79 people who actually got Legionnaires' disease. They believe it was from dirty water. 20 of them died. A Wayne State University study found that the spike in Legionnaires, former Michigan Governor Rick Snyder's administration wouldn't allow the state-funded research project to investigate whether a known spike in pneumonia deaths in 2014, 2015 were undiagnosed cases of Legionnaires' disease. They don't know for sure that it is,
Wow.
but they suspect it was.
So the governor didn't even let them investigate?
No,
That's
no.
crazy, the cover-up.
Because he knew what it was. He knew what it was.
The cover-up in the Flint water crisis is so deep, it is terrifying.
And it's happening in Newark also.
Absolutely.
And by the way, what we learned from Dr. Mona Atif was that it cost, I think, what was it, like 79 cents a day or something for them to clean the water?
Right, yeah.
Per person?
It's didn't she say something? It
Like
was actually cheaper for them to treat it
than to treat everybody who got sick.
Right, 100%.
Yeah. And Dr. Sean McElmurray, an engineering professor at Wayne State, said, I remember at one point my colleague telling me that if he didn't do that, people could die. Unfortunately, Nick Lyon's response was that they'll have to die or something. I'm not sure what that reference is, but I was told to read. It doesn't matter. We got to move on. The Trump administration finalizes a rollback of clean water protections. Today, the Trump administration is expected to complete the legal repeal of a major Obama-era clean water regulation, which had placed limits on polluting chemicals that could be used near streams, wetlands, and water bodies. Now, why he's doing this is because, you know, I got to put everything in perspective here. Mm-hmm. He needs farmers to vote for him for 2020.
Right.
Farmers are suffering right now.
Right.
Why are farmers suffering? Because we have a trade war with China.
Right.
China's not buying American agricultural products.
Right.
Farmers say we need help. We need to be able to make money. We need to be more profitable. So he's rolling back clean water regulations to allow farmers to use pesticides and other chemicals which are cheaper to use with any farmland that is near water and irrigation. What's that going to do, all these pesticides? It's going to pollute the water we're drinking.
Of course it is.
So maybe the farmer will make a couple more dollars, but it's going to cost Americans hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in medical bills, and people are going to die.
Right. See, again, Legionnaires' disease in Flint, Michigan right now.
Exactly. The one nice thing that Trump is doing
it's not a sentence one can utter.
Is that he's moving to ban flavored e-cigarettes.
Yes.
Yes, the Health and Human Service Secretary Alex Azar, seated in the Oval Office with the President, First Lady Melania Trump, and the acting commissioner of the FDA, announced that newly proposed enforcement policy would require flavored e-cigarette companies to take their products off the market. Not even put a warning label, but off the market.
Love this.
It'll take several weeks for us to put out the final guidance that will announce all the parameters around the enforcement policy, and then there will likely be about a 30-day delay to an effective date, as is customary. At that point, all flavored e-cigarettes other than tobacco flavor would have to be removed from the market.
Yes.
Now, more than 6 people in the United States have died from lung diseases related to vaping, according to a Kansas health official on Tuesday. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the FDA and state health departments have been investigating this outbreak. They believe it is all from these flavored e-cigarettes and vaping. I even read an article today that they had a picture of one kid who was in the hospital. He was 17, 18 years old, and the doctors were describing his lungs were the equivalent of a 70-year-old man.
I heard about that, yeah.
Yes. As of Friday, there have been more than 450 possible cases of lung illness associated with using e-cigarettes. The number changes frequently. I just know from my kids in high school, they don't do it, I hope, but there are a lot of children who are.
This is absolutely
There are a lot of
thing.
children who are, and they're making it out that it's safe, and it's not.
I'm honestly really happy that this is happening because I think that the flavored ones are so targeted for kids. But I heard someone ask a really intriguing question, which was, vaping's been a thing for over a decade. Why are we just hearing that 6 people are dying this summer? Is it that they just didn't know that these lung-related illnesses were because of vaping? Is it they knew? Is it a Flint thing where they knew and they didn't say anything? Why now?
I think it gets. I think when something gets more involved in America, people start investigating it more, and it's like social media, like something going viral.
Right.
You know, like
it takes it a while
why did
sometimes.
this video all of a sudden become viral? People start talking about it. Everybody's vaping, and now people are getting sick, and it starts going viral. Kind of, even the conversation goes viral.
Right.
It's like
in the medical community.
It's like OxyContin.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
We knew for 20 years.
Yeah.
That this stuff is very dangerous. That this stuff is very likely to be abused, is habit forming, and people died from Oxycontin every year.
Right, and you knew that.
And we knew it, and doctors were prescribing it.
Right.
And pharmaceutical companies were making a fortune of money.
Right.
Nobody said anything. Now all of a sudden it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Why?
Now we cry opioid epidemic.
Why?
That's
Why?
a great. It's got to be. Yeah, you're right. It's got to be time.
But
and
it's just timing.
It's
It's
so
just
weird.
timing. Everybody knew Harvey
so
Weinstein was a rapist.
The worst kept secret.
In Hollywood. They even made fun of it
Yeah.
at the Academy Awards one year.
Yeah. Don't be in a room alone with him.
Nobody did anything about it. Nobody. Then all of a sudden, someone says, "Hey, wait a second. This is pretty bad." And then another person says, "This is pretty bad." And then it just starts going like wildfire again. But Harvey Weinstein should have been stopped 20 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at Epstein.
I was just about to say, I was not going to take us there. But
Yeah, look at Epstein. Same exact thing.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, Epstein, everybody loved Epstein.
Yeah.
Okay, he was still hanging out with Bill Clinton and Prince Andrew.
After he had beat a rape charge.
Right, and now all of a sudden he's a horrible man, right? Why all of a sudden did he become horrible? How come no one realized he was horrible before?
Because Bill Clinton just found out about the blue dress painting he had in his house.
Did you see about that Alaskan swimmer? The girl?
Yes, I am outraged.
She won a high school swim meet. And all the high school students all have to wear the same exact bathing suit. Except this girl, her tushy's a little rounder.
Right.
She's a little curvier. So when she swims, everybody's wearing the same swimsuit. But when she swims, it goes closer up, rides up into her, I guess, crack, I guess.
Right.
I don't know how else you describe it.
It rides up your butt a little bit.
And a referee disqualified her from winning the swim meet because she said that she was wearing something that was too skimpy. But this is the school-sponsored uniform.
That's insane.
So the referee explained that because the girl's name was Brecklin Willis, that because Brecklin Willis's swimsuit exposed her backside, she was not entitled to win the race regardless of how well she swam. Now, the move immediately sparked backlash. School officials said in a statement that she went to Diamond High School. The school said she was targeted based solely on how a standard school-issued uniform happened to fit the shape of her body.
Yep.
We cannot tolerate discrimination of any kind, and certainly not based on body shape. This disqualification was heavy-handed and unnecessary. But we did have a happy ending.
Good. I'm glad, yes.
It didn't even take a day.
Not even a day.
1 hour later, the Alaska School Activities Association announced that it agreed with the district, concluding that the rules require a coach to be notified of a violation before the race begins, and therefore Brecklin Willis was given the win. I don't know if there's an award or whatever, or a certificate.
Yeah, she got a little medal,
A little medal. She got her medal. Lifelong swimmer Lauren Langford, director of the YMCA Aquatics and coach for the high school, said, "All of these girls are all wearing swimsuits that are cut the same way, and the only girl who gets disqualified is a mixed-race girl with rounder, curvier features."
She's absolutely right.
Yeah, the district also called for the referee identified as Jill Blackstone to be stripped of her credentials due to what they described as a pattern of unfair treatment.
Yeah.
The Alaska Athletic Association, I guess, what is the name of it? The Alaska School Activities Association declined to make a determination on whether the official wrongfully targeted Willis. However, Megan Kowich, the teenager's mother, told reporters on Monday that the referee who made the call had previously embarrassed one of her other daughters by critiquing the fit of her swimsuit as well.
That's insane.
Yeah, so she says it wasn't the first time this girl had been made to feel that her curvy figure was problematic. Last year, a parent took a photo of her backside and shared it with other parents to demonstrate that girls on the team were wearing inappropriate swimwear.
What is wrong with these people sexualizing these little girls? They're still girls. They're younger than 18. They're still girls. What is wrong with you? Let her swim.
What about the high school? You know, if they see that there's a problem, why don't we get different bathing suits?
Yeah,
because obviously this problem has been going on for a while.
And to be clear, the bathing suits that they use, the reason they use them is that they made swimmers more hydrodynamic. So they've gotten slightly skimpier because it makes them better swimmers. Let them swim. This is driving me crazy. I was very passionate about this one, Brad.
All right. Well, tomorrow is Friday the 13th, Belgium Kim.
Yes!
Friday the 13th.
Are you doing something spooky?
I will be on an airplane.
That's kind of...
But there is also something that's going on this Friday the 13th that hasn't happened in 19 years. There's going to be a rare full moon.
Ooh.
And we all know what happened on the last Friday the 13th when there was a rare full moon.
We do?
Yes, werewolves. Werewolves.
That was a thing.
It was a thing 19 years ago. There were werewolves everywhere. Stay inside and lock your door tomorrow night. There is a full moon. It is Friday the 13th. And that only means one thing. Werewolves.
You guys all remember where you
Yes,
were the
your
last time
the werewolves came, right? I remember. I was locked in my room.
Yeah.
I locked the front door of my house.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
I locked the door to my room.
Yeah.
I hid under my bed.
Yeah.
I heard the werewolf circling my house.
Ooh, couldn't get in though.
I couldn't get in.
That's right.
And then in the morning, everything was fine.
Be like Brad Bernstein.
That's right. Watch out for the werewolves. The last time I remember, it was October 13th, 2000. Exactly. I remember. I said, "Oh my God, it's werewolf night."
Yeah, I was too young to remember it then.
No, you don't.
Maybe that's why my parents put me to bed early that day.
It doesn't matter if you're in the country or the city. The werewolves are everywhere.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
Do you think I'm safe on the 3rd floor this
No,
weekend, Brad?
lock your door. Lock your door. September's full moon, also called the harvest moon, is the full moon nearest to the autumnal,
yeah.
the autumn equinox.
There it is.
On September 23rd. Why do you have to give me a complicated word here?
Sorry, more than 3 syllables.
Yes.
That was my bad.
Yes. What makes this full moon more special than others is that the farmers at the peak of the current harvest season can now work late into the night. But if you're going to work late in the night, watch out for the werewolves.
The werewolves.
The next full moon is going to be on October 13th, but it will not be a Friday. So we don't have to worry about the werewolves.
Thank God.
Yes.
Whew.
Meanwhile, New York Fashion Week ended last night.
Yeah.
For the Spring 2020 presentations, designers have ditched the traditional purses and shoes for some more creative accessories.
Yeah.
The creative force behind Kate Spade presented a city safari show in Nolita's Elizabeth Street Gardens as models carted, cradled, and cupped plants both in and out of the pot down the runway. Breast pumps were chic at Rebecca Minkoff, where one model cradled her breastfeeding baby throughout the casual workwear presentation. On the runway at Area, models rocked crystal beards as they strutted down the runway, and at Colina Strata, models walked down with babies in hand while others wheeled the typical New York baby carriage.
This is so crazy to me. Like, I find some of these looks to be very fierce. This I don't get though. Like, this woman is in a silk dress with a cart.
This is not ready to wear. Meaning, ready to wear means that, you know, this is what you would find
like what you would
find on the store shelves.
Right.
These are one of a kind creations that are made to inspire, make people think, and be as creative as possible. But this is not what you go to Bloomingdale's or Barney's or whatever, any of these fancy stores. There I am.
Yeah.
At a fashion week, all right? I was just wearing a shirt.
I
have no idea what this donut guy was next to me. It's just like one of a kind, but it's not your ready to wear what you'd find on the shelf.
I guess I just don't understand how like a ginormous...
They're more costumes. They're more costumes than anything.
But how does a ginormous plant elevate your costume? You're holding a ginormous potted plant, girl. You just look way down. Set that down before you walk down the runway.
Mike, the Situation...
Yes.
He is going to be out of jail on today.
He's out. Look at him. He's free.
He is a free man, Mike, the Situation.
Everybody breathe a sigh of relief.
Thank God we could get entertained again. We haven't had entertainment in 8 months since this guy's been in jail.
No, I've been so bored.
Yeah, on Thursday, I have been bored. I'm like, where's this Mike, the Situation, you know? Thursday, the Jersey Shore star was released from the Otisville Federal Correctional Institution in Otisville, New York, after completing an 8-month sentence for tax evasion. Sorrentino and his wife, Lauren, said in a statement, "We look forward to continuing our life as husband and wife and working on baby situations. We truly believe that the comeback is always greater than the setback, and we can't wait to show the world." Now, Sorrentino and his brother Mark were indicted in 2014 for tax offenses and conspiring to defraud the United States for failing to properly pay taxes on $8.9 million in income.
Woo! He looks He looks like he was.
He did need Carmela. He
Yeah.
could have used Carmela.
Yeah, he could have.
Now, what is this? Pierce Bronson endorses a female Bond, and he's saying, "Get out of the way, guys." I
Yeah.
think there should be a female James Bond.
Listen, there's rumors already that it's happening.
I think there should be. I think it would be a much cooler, cooler experience.
That would be so much fun.
Right, and there should also be a black James Bond.
Well, check out the chick that they have.
Okay, there should be a black James Bond too. Pierce Brosnan saved the world 4 times as James Bond.
Right.
He wasn't okay. He wasn't the best James Bond.
Oh, I love him.
But now the actor says it's time to pass the legendary role on to a woman. Lashana Lynch
Yes, and can we?
is rumored to take over.
Look at her.
Oh, she is a black woman.
She's a black woman.
I didn't even
Yes,
know that.
queen.
I was just saying that off the top
I know.
of my head.
I figured. I was like,
yeah, I had no
just you wait
idea.
till you see this queen.
Now she's scheduled to take over from Daniel Craig in the upcoming No Time to Die. Brosnan said, "I think we've watched the guys do it for 40 years. Get out of the way, guys, and put a woman up there. I think it would be exhilarating. It would be very, very exciting."
Did you see Captain Marvel? Have you seen that movie?
No, I have not.
So Lashana Lynch is in Captain Marvel, and she is like one of the breakout stars of that movie. She is so good. She would be a kick-ass Bond.
I gotta take a better look at her. Is she like a really fit, beautiful woman?
Yeah,
it's hard to see from these pictures.
She's like very social justice minded, which is
Right.
fantastic. She's got a lot of. She works with charities. She's just like a badass woman. And in Captain Marvel, she plays a fighter pilot. So she's just like got that edge.
So I wonder now if James Bond, like when she's gonna walk into the casino,
Yeah.
she's gonna like find some hunk and sleep with him.
Yes.
Is that what's gonna happen?
That's what. Let's objectify all the men.
Is that what's gonna happen? I think Dr. Yo-Yo is gonna be trying out for that role.
Listen.
Do you think Dr. Yo-Yo would try out for that role?
I think that he's already. He says he's in Ethiopia, but that's actually he's trying out to be the new Bond man.
Thanks for watching. For more Bradshaw Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.